Over the past 5 or 6 months, we have prepared the DNS by working with each committee. I thank everybody for their input. The DNS will be available at your September committee meetings for discussion. We will be bringing the working principles to the steering committee, for the steering committee to go over with their working principles, which were also developed at each of the committee meetings. We have a new handbook which will be ready for publication sometime this month, thanks to the major work by Louise Craddock. The Broadway Task Force has met over the summer, met in both July and August, and has come up with some vision and plans which we will be able to bring to you at the October meeting. NYCHA task force has had a really good year, and for the last 3 or 4 months, they've been working closely with the task force on Community Board 9 to prepare a program that will be available for NYCHA residents in both CB7 and CB9 in October. The American Museum of Natural History, over the spring, we testified on the draft environmental impact statement, and we voted prior year on the preservation piece of it. And so now our work with the museum is finished, except for when they start construction. Community Board 7 will be part of the construction oversight task force. Our next big project is 108th Street, and the city is going to sell 3 garages to Westside Federation for supportive senior housing. They will move Valley Lodge, which is up there, the residents of Valley Lodge, which is a shelter for formerly homeless seniors. They will move them into a building on 85th Street, and then if the plan was to tear down the garages, rebuild Valley Lodge, and build supportive senior housing. The project, we testified last year on the scope of the project, the draft environmental impact statement, and the ULUR process will start sometime in October. There will be a hearing on the 18th of October. It will be four committees. Land use will be the primary committee, along with transportation, housing, health, and human services. So we will get that information to everybody, and we'd like to send board members to come to that. There will also be a second hearing and a chance for the committee, the super committee, to vote on a resolution which will be presented if the timeline works out. We have 60 days from the day it's certified at the December full board meeting. And I'd like to announce now the election committee, which is chaired by Howard Jarvis, and the members are Andrew Albert, Benjamin Howard Cooper, Isaac Booker, and Blanche Locke. And I'm now going to turn the meeting over to Howard.
Good evening, everyone. We do this every year. We have nominations at the September meeting and a vote on the nominations at the October meeting. So we solicit nominations for the position of chair, position of vice chair. There are 2 vice chair positions, and the position of co-secretary. There are 2 co-secretary positions. The process is you raise your hand and nominate someone, and then if they're seconded, they'll appear on the ballot next month. So why don't we open the nominations for chair? Mark?
I nominate Roberta Seamer.
Is there a second? Okay. So we have 1 nomination for chair. Do we have any other nominations?
Yeah, chair.
George?
I'd like to nominate Michelle Parkman, chair.
Michelle, is there a second? Great. Is there any other nomination for chair? Move to close. So moved. So we'll open nominations for vice chair. Again, there are 2 positions. So who has a nomination for vice chair? Blanche?
I nominate Paul Spain.
Polly Spain. Okay. Great. Any other nominations for vice chair? Susan? Audrey. Very fine. Second?
I second.
Great. Any other?
I nominate
Madam?
Stephen Brown.
Steve Brown. Second? Okay. So far we have 3. Is there a 4th nomination for vice chair? Okay.
Yes, okay.
Great. So those 3 nominations for vice chair. Okay, we'll move on to co-secretary. Are there any nominations for co-secretary? Jerry? Great. Second?
Mark?
Madeline?
I like to nominate Amy Hyman.
Second?
Okay. Any 3rd nomination for co-secretary? Great, so that's closed. So we have all our nominations, and we will have our vote in October. Everyone nominated will get an email explaining the details of the statement they're supposed to write within the next couple of days, and that'll be it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Howard. It is my pleasure and also my disappointment to call up Brian Jensen, our first speaker. I want to thank Brian for his hard work on the board, and he is leaving us and moving to Brooklyn.
Hi everyone. So I resigned from the board last week so that Gail had time to appoint somebody in my stead so they could participate in next month's elections. Because I thought that that would be most appropriate since they would be serving over the next year. But I purchased an apartment. It happens to be in Kings County, so I will no longer be qualified to serve on CB7. But I just wanted to say it was an absolute pleasure to serve with you all over the last 5 years, to serve as co-secretary and as vice chair. I had a lot of fun. To live and participate in the Upper West Side is an endlessly frustrating and wonderful experience. I think this is the heart of New York City. I'm sad that I'm leaving it because I couldn't afford to buy here, but that's how the cookie crumbles, and I'm excited about these next steps. But best of luck to everything that you're doing this year. I know that the Upper West Side and Manhattan Valley are in good hands, and I just wanted to come stop by as a member of the community, no longer as the community board, just to say goodbye. So,
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Christopher Rihanna, who was a member of our community board and is now with the SLM.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I have to say it's very fitting to be speaking after Brian. Brian had a far bigger impact on CB7 as when he was on the board. But it's so good to see so many new faces, so many old faces. My name is Christopher Rihanna. I had the pleasure of serving here on CB7, both as a member but also as a secretary for a very, very short period of time. But I actually just wanted to take a very quick moment and come before everybody and just say thank you so much again for being here, for serving our community. It's really incredible. I'm now have the opportunity to serve as general counsel for the State Liquor Authority. So as such, I'm appointed by Governor Andrew Cuomo as the Chief Legal Officer for the entire state of New York to help foster economic development through our licenses, obviously enforce and then help regulate the alcoholic beverage control laws for the state of New York. So I only wanted to take a very quick moment and say thank you for all of the work that you do. Obviously, I always have a place in my heart for CB7. You're an invaluable part of the process of what we do. at the State Liquor Authority. I've already been cornered by George and Michelle. I definitely will be taking some time to sit down with BCI in my new role after it's been about 6 months now. I don't want to take up a lot of time. We benefit greatly from your service on this board. I have to say that over and over again. And the very least that I can do in my role now is come out and say thank you. So thank you all very, very much, and enjoy your first meeting with the new year.
Thank you so much. We're going to ask people to come up to the mic and speak for a minute. First is Omar Vera, followed by Jennifer Zara.
Thank you. It's my first time actually speaking at the full board of Management 7. Never before I've actually spoken to this board. But because I do know that a board member of the NTA, Sandra Elba over here, co-chairs the Transportation Committee, and as you know, at the NTA, he, along with fellow board member Veronica Patrick, are the writers' champions. They speak for the writers on the board. All right, now to the business. I'm here to talk about basically the M66 and the M72. Unfortunately, as you know, they're among the slowest bus routes, crosstown bus routes that go through Central Park. When I was in college, I used to go to Hunter. I often used the M66, trying to cross town, and what was normally should be a 15-minute trip ends up becoming a 45-minute trip because of unnecessary traffic and because of the fact that the 65th Street transverse is the only one of the 4 transverses in which the crosstown buses use one-way streets.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Next is Jennifer.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm the manager of the St. Agnes branch of the New York Public Library. Hi. We're on Instagram meeting for CB7. See us do. Just wanted to make a quick announcement. We're having a back-to-school open house on Saturday, October 14th. I don't know if you visited our branches on Saturday, but we have programs pretty much all day, so we're packing even more. So what we're going to do is at 11, we're going to have a workshop on preserving digital photos, which I think a lot of parents and people that nowadays with their cell phones, you take pictures all the time, and you need to have a way to organize them, put them all in one place. So the person leading this workshop has over 30 years experience in the magazine publishing and advertising as an illustrator, and she's going to share tips and tricks on how to sort of cull and curate your digital photo mess and turn it into an organized collection. So that's at 11 o'clock. And then at 2, we're going to start the full back to school festivities. So what we're going to do is we're going to showcase our fall programs for people that maybe haven't come to the library recently. We're having story time, and we're going to do a preview of our coding workshop for the fall. So I can send all that information to you. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Yao Gray, followed by Adriana Alba. You have 1 minute, please.
Hi everybody, my name is Yao, and I realize that I'm the only Asian people tonight. And my company is moving to USA side, and now my office is in Long Island, and we're trying to move to Manhattan. And we're a technology company. We give every single building in Manhattan our automation parcel station facilities. So what do we do? For example, raise your hand. Who is doing online shopping today? Okay, this month, yes. And when you are not at home, our facility can help you to receive the parcels, packages. Also, can help you to sending the parcels. For example, this gentleman sitting over there, you need to do the laundry, right? Dry cleaning, and our parcel station automatic, like robot box, can help you to send, also receive the shirts, the jackets, and so every year, based on the Penn Wharton University data, we can help the whole community to save about $2.5 million. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Next is Adriana Alba, followed by Damaso Graves.
Hi everybody, I'm Adriana from Children's Day. Just wanted to let you know that I have some flyers up by the door. We are enrolling for the kiddos child care program, 0 to 5-year-olds, and we have locations up here, up in the Bronx, Washington Heights, and Staten Island. We are also looking for teachers. So if you know of anyone that's looking for experience in the early childhood division of things, please grab a flyer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Danny Perry.
My name is Danny Perry. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for Independence Care System, or ICS for short. We're a nonprofit managed long-term care plan dedicated to supporting chronically ill seniors and people with physical disabilities so they can remain in the home, providing the needed home care, health care, and social services. We also have a number of specialized programs, including a comprehensive wheelchair program, services for people with dementia, and a program called Consumer Directed Personal Assistance Service, which allows our members, if they so desire, to actually hire, train, and supervise their own personal care aides. It could be family members, people living in a home, as long as they're not a spouse. I have a bunch of material that I left out in front, along with my business card. I'll be here for a little while, so please feel free to pull me aside if you work with individuals, you're part of the Tenants Association or Senior Center. We'd love to talk to you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And our esteemed Assembly Member, Linda Rosenthal.
Thank you, I like that. That's nice. So hi everybody, excuse my back. Assembly Member Linda Rosenthal, thank you so much. And I hope you've had a great summer. I'm sure you all agree. Have it summer. Anyway. Okay, so I want to tell you a bit about some legislative updates. I guess all of you know I've worked a lot on e-cigarette issues. And some years ago, I sponsored the bills that banned the sale of e-cigarettes to minors, and as well as liquid nicotine, and mandating that the liquid nicotine had to be in child protective packaging. Well, I just passed in June in the Assembly and the Senate passed it too, to include e-cigarettes in the Clean Indoor Air Act. And that means that, anywhere that tobacco use, smoking is prohibited, e-cigarette use would also be prohibited. I expect the governor to sign this. This actually is the law in New York City right now. I've had the bill for some years, and the Senate Republicans, I guess they were getting a lot of contributions from those cigarette companies, but they saw fit to pass it. So I'm hopeful. I know the governor will sign it because he said his support for that. I have introduced a new Airbnb bill, and that would require Airbnb and other home sharing platforms to disclose the addresses and other information of the apartments that are listed on their website. Now, this is something that Airbnb does in San Francisco, it does it in Chicago. They are balking at cooperating at all. They just, hire more and more lobbyists, and they just fire missives at, the city when it tries to do its enforcement. But we're going to keep fighting because we are losing so many units and to Airbnb and other home sharing platforms, and it's also not fair when you sign your lease. You should be able to expect peaceful enjoyment of your residence, not a rotating cast of tourists. So it was allegedly the summer of hell, although I don't think it was so bad. But in terms of Penn Station and transportation, but for some years now, I've been concentrating on buses, particularly the M104, and I know you're hearing about the M72 and M66 as well. So the MTA justifies the cuts by saying, well, there are fewer riders, but it's a circular logic. There are fewer riders because the buses are so unreliable. And so it's a self-perpetuating spiral of fewer riders. But especially with the subways in such dire shape, you need better surface transit, whether it's, the M86 and M79, I forget the name of it, select bus service, or just better bus service on all those lines. That's something I'm going to be fighting for, and I appreciate if people have their own particular stories about waiting forever for a particular bus, or you hear from people who can't make their way around the city because the buses are unreliable. Please let me know. I know we're going to be addressing a lot of this in Albany come January, because the governor promised $1 billion, and we're going to see where we've done that. But it's something that we will be having hearings about. PS 191 had an opening ribbon cutting ceremony. I don't believe CB7 was invited, which is a shame because all of you were so deeply involved in fighting for school. And the Riverside Center, or Riverside South, and I know many of you in particular were very involved. So, okay, the tour is good, but really you should have been part of the festivities for all your work. I was able to offer $200,000 in state grants for 191, so they can get some cutting-edge technology and instruments to help with their STEAM and Maker curriculum, which I think will be very exciting. I know a lot of you heard about the rats on the Upper West Side. I was deluged with a lot of calls and emails about the rats really owning the playgrounds. And so I was working with the state Department of Environmental Conservation, because what had happened is that dry ice, which is very effective and most humane if you're going to kill the rats, it's the most humane way to kill them. Dry ice was not registered with the EPA as a rodenticide. So first that had to happen. Then the state DEC had to classify it in a certain category. The categories were: one required hours and hours of training. The other category required fewer hours and supervision from someone off-site, because there are not enough people trained to actually administer the dry ice. So what happens now is the city has to find contractors and, sign contracts with them to make sure they go out and put the dry ice, which causes the rats to put the dry ice in the burrows, and then they just go to sleep, and they don't wake up. Because of the presence of hawks here on the Upper West Side, there is no use of the rat poison, because then when the hawks eat the rats, they wake up. So this is a more humane way of doing things. For those of you who care about trees, at 71st and West End, there was a tree for about 100 years. There was a tree in that spot. The tree died, was taken away, and the people on that block asked Parks for a new tree. Parks said no, but then I spoke with them, and they will be planting a new tree. So a couple of things: my flu shot day is coming up, October 13th tentatively, my Mammogram Day tentatively November 17th, and I was invited to go to a TED Med conference to speak as an advocate for menstrual equity. Now, a lot of you know that I axed the tax for tampons a year ago, and so this is an issue that is being discussed actually around the world, menstrual equity. So I'm going to present at a TED Med in California at the start of October. So I'm very excited about that. One last thing, the president in DACA, it's reprehensible. 800,000 children and some more grown up came here. It was not their fault, it was not their wish. And now they've established themselves in this country. 91% of them have they work, they pay taxes, they have families. They should not be sent back to whatever country they were once at. So we in the Assembly have passed the DREAM Act, which would allow students to get financial aid like TAP. But we also have the New York State Liberty Act, and that would really protect people from being unnecessarily questioned about their status, prohibit law enforcement from asking them about their status, require state and local agencies to maintain the confidentiality of their status. All these protections that the Assembly passes doesn't pass in the state senate, which hopefully will reconsider their opposition, but it's really on Congress now to protect these 800,000 people in this country, which is rapidly deteriorating. So, thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Well, I heard that.
I'm not exactly not simply through the and I would hope that you and other elected officials would recognize that because it's right to be in the advocate that they might have called, might have negotiated it, with the tools of the Department of Education,
I agree. Maybe there's something that could be, maybe a plaque or something in the lobby that recognizes.
We've been in contact with Gail's office, and Gail.
I'm sure the file president and very much knew everything that was going on, and it was a tireless and significant.
I mean, some people dreamed that school for nights and years. Yes, yes, a lot of you devoted, all in total months.
It was at the time when CB7, when it went through the ULA process, this was the most important piece from CB7. So I have been in contact with,
You should also Department of Education.
I have been in, it turns out it was DOE's event. They were advised to invite us, and they didn't, but we will be having something that will honor CB7 in the appropriate way.
Okay, I will help you.
Thank you so much. We have two more public speakers, Damasco Reyes, followed by Benjamin and Indigo.
Good evening. My piece of business is very pedestrian, but it's, I think, at the heart of what CB7 does. For years on 104th Street between Broadway and Amsterdam, we've had a broken sidewalk condition. And we have lots of seniors who are using walkers and wheelchairs. We have people who are disabled who can't navigate the sidewalk. And residents of the block have endlessly called 311, reached out to the city council's office, but the landlord still hasn't repaired the sidewalk. So I'm hoping, on behalf of the residents of 104th Street, we can maybe get some help in prodding the Department of Transportation to hold the landlord to account and make sure that they are holding up their end of the social contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Benjamin. Yes, sir.
We're here representing Gosling International. We're in a landmark building on 103rd in Amsterdam. I'm Benjamin, the community engagement coordinator. For those of you that don't know us, we're one of the biggest hospitals in the world with 743 beds, but we're also a community serving institution and a nonprofit.
Our mission is to help all, especially the young, gain a greater understanding of the world and its people through hospitals. And then also includes traveling, and we do that through our educational programs, our engagement programs, and the scholarships we offer.
And we have some community events coming up September 21st through the 27th, which coincides with International Peace Day with the UN. And then we're participating in the New York Open House in October. So if you haven't seen our building, that's a chance for everyone to come see it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to call on Diana Howard, the Old Brewer's office.
Thank you. Welcome back. A couple of things from our office. When we have a report on school-based mental health, in the Manhattan Public Schools, so he examined the landscape of Manhattan school-based mental health services as of 2016, spoke with mental health providers, school officials, and the Department of Education to get the full picture of the mental health services available at schools across the borough, and identified a number of challenges that schools and service providers face, and we developed some recommendations. I would invite you to our website where the report can be viewed. Unfortunately, you're in the blackout period right now because of the elections coming up, so I cannot give you a copy of provide copies there, but you can go to our website to check it out. Also, we have some small grants available. This is our Manhattan Community Award grant program that we have started. These are small grants from $3,500 to $5,000. They are available to nonprofit organizations to help support programming and operational expenses that are contracted with one of 5 city agencies, and the agencies are Parks, DOE, Department of Corrections, the Department for the Aging, and Health. And lastly, I'll say, those of you who remember Maggie Payton, she did, Maggie Payton, that's right. So she did a lot for our office, and one of the things that she was in charge of was our art gallery. And this month, October 10th, we are hosting an art show for artists 60 and over. So if you are an artist yourself, if you happen to be 60 and over and a resident of Manhattan, please feel free to join. And if you know a friend, give them the information. The applications are due this week the 8th. You need to email Debbie Timothy of our office. That's D Timothy, TIMTHY, at manhattanbp.nyc.
The report that you mentioned was on the website. That's nyc.gov/ManhattanDP.
Thank you so much. Next is Michael Stinson, Controller Spears Office, followed by Eric Coelho of Councilmember Blackwood's office.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I hope everyone had a nice vacation for the month of August. I know I enjoyed my August. 2 quick things. Comptroller Stringer has a Hispanic Heritage event coming up on September 26th. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. at the Silverman School of Social Work at Hunter College over in East Harlem. I don't have any flyers with me. It's going to the final stages and also the blackout, but I can send you a copy as soon as I get that. Second thing, we'll be marching in the African American Parade on September 17th, which is not this Sunday, but next Sunday. If anyone is interested in joining us and marching, it's going to be in Harlem at 1 p.m. So thank you very much, and welcome back.
Next is Eric. Followed by Tara Klein of Senator Harlan's office.
Hi, everybody. Eric Coelho from Councilmember Mark Levine's office. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to welcome everybody back after the summer. The council member has been busy. Just this summer, we have now passed into law right to counsel, which was incredibly important. It's just something that the council member has worked on for a very long time, so we're happy to see that. Recently, actually this past Thursday, we had our back to school block party. We still have very limited but some supplies of book bags, and anybody who is looking for supplies. We had over 2,000 people come out, which is amazing. But we still have a little bit of items or school supplies left, so please reach out to our office or anything. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Tara.
Thanks, Roberta. Welcome back, everybody. Happy September. Some very quick updates. First, we are doing from Senator Boylan's office a shred day over by Penn South on 26th Street on Tuesday, September 19th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Come bring your documents to shred. We'll do it for you. Just get a truck on the street. Should be a good time. I brought some copies of our parent and family resource guide for you. Some good back to school resources to check out. You can also check out our board report for some other updates on what we've been working on this summer. And finally, I'm going to hopefully get Senator Roman here in person himself to visit you. I know it's been a while, but I wanted to let you know he's not here today because he just had a baby last night. His second daughter.
Thank you. Next is Marissa May. followed by Alex Norton.
Hi, I'm Marissa from Councilmember Helen Rosenthal's office. Just want to go through a couple of events with you. I'm glad the Assembly member brought up rats. We're actually having a free rat academy on September 28th that we are co-sponsoring with Community Board 7. So there are plenty of flyers in the back. Make sure your building owners, your supers know about it. We want to make sure we get everybody there. The council member also allocated big belly bins for all the playgrounds in Riverside Park in the District 6 council area, so that should help a lot. And she's worked with the Parks Department so that they increase garbage collection in those playgrounds on some days. So we should start to see improvement very soon. We also have our monthly housing clinic starting up again the first week of October. So you'll see those flyers in the back. And I wanted to take a moment to read a statement from Councilmember Helen Rosenthal on the DACA declaration today by President Trump. It's from the Councilmember. Rescinding the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DACA program is an act of cruelty and cowardice. Throwing hundreds of thousands of young immigrants into limbo isn't about the economy or national security, and it's certainly not about the rule of law. It's a play of nativism and bigotry, pure and simple. For the sake of hundreds of thousands of families it directly affects, and for the sake of our country's values, it must be resisted. I will work with my colleagues in the council and partners across New York City to support our thinkers every step of the way and to push for Congress to make this right. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Marisa, first of all, can I have a copy of that, please? Yes. And the Rat Academy, where is it?
On 81st Street. Next is Alec Milchick, followed from Dick Godfrey's office, followed by Jennifer Greer from the New York Public Advocate's office.
Good evening, everyone. The Fresh Food for Seniors program is starting up again this month, and it goes into November. If you consume like fresh groceries for $8 a bag, there are several locations on the Upper West Side and Chelsea and Post Kitchen. Additionally, on September 24th, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., if you would like to receive your secondary electronics, there will be a place downtown. I think it's at Union Square. It's hosted by the Union State Department of Sanitation. And of course, Hurricane Harvey, unfortunately, people at these income taxes are still from Hurricane Harvey. If you would like to donate, there is some information on the media that I have for you. It's in the front. And then, of course, the all things best for people forward.
The electronics recycling event, what date is that? Thank you.
Next is Jennifer Greer, followed by Brennan Ward.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Greer. I'm from the New York City Public Advocate's Chamber's office. I have one announcement. So the Public Advocate's office will be kicking off Hamilton Senior Center's Senior Week this Friday at 12:30. The Senior Center is located at 141 West 73rd Street. We'll be there from 12:30 to 1:30. We'll be there with Live On New York. We'll be talking about neighborhood and public advocacy. So if anybody would like to attend, please feel free to RSVP with me. My number is 212-669-2179. Thank you.
Next is Brennan Ward from State Senator Marisol Martha's office.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a good summer. Quite over. So I want two quick sort of legislative updates. This got signed by the governor over the summer. Everybody here probably knows about SPREE and GREE, which are seniors and disabled rent increase exemption. The governor has now signed a version of this for home. So for seniors and folks with disabilities, there is property tax abatement possible. We are still waiting on the governor to sign a bill regarding diversity in writing rooms. We got this past the Assembly, passed the Senate, we're waiting on Governor Cuomo. This is to increase diversity, because currently it is 27% female and 14% minority in writing rooms in New York, which is a pretty first place. So those numbers don't quite match up. And so those are the two legislative things. Two sort of community events that are coming up. We are having satellite office hours at the St. Agnes Library. It's a wonderful library for everyone to use it. We're going to be there on September 26th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. if you want to stop in sort of a pop-up office. And then we're having a street fair focusing on senior health. October 8th, Sunday. We'll have flyers for that.
A quick question, what's a writing room?
Oh, I'm sorry, like TV and film writing rooms. So the percentage of people who write for TV shows or films in New York City.
Thank you. Our next speaker is George DeMalt from Senator Serrano's office, followed by Alec Peltz from Congressman Adams' office.
How you doing? I hope everybody's summer is went well. So this month, our office is focusing our constituent hours on emergency preparedness services. So every Thursday in this month, we'll be on the Upper West Side with information and partnering with the Governor's Citizen Preparedness Corps and the New York City Office of Emergency Management, as well as the American Red Cross. We'll be doing trainings throughout the district and passing on information. For anybody who's interested, please stop by Thursdays on the Upper West Side. This Thursday, we will be at St. Agnes from 3 to 6. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next is Alec Peltz from Congressman Adams' office, followed by Gabrielle Down from the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Alec Peltz from Congressman Adams' office. Today's the first day back in DC after the recess, and there's a lot coming down the pipe. Harvey relief, debt ceiling, and now DACA. I don't think I have to say this, but Congressman Adler has been a long time advocate for the DACA program and for ensuring that we have a sensible and inclusive immigration policy. And as a senior member of the Judiciary Committee, he is going to be a part of any conversation about legislative changes to DACA and be fighting hard to make sure that it is maintained. And just secondly, I wanted you to know that the Congressman has introduced a resolution of censure since Charlottesville and the aftermath of the president's statements. This is an official condemnation of the president if passed by the House. We currently have 150 co-sponsors. Who knows, maybe we'll get this to pass. If not, we will force Republicans to go on record stating whether or not they can align with what the president said following Charlottesville. So we will continue to keep you posted on that piece of legislation. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Gabby, next, followed by Manny Tritas from Assemblymember O'Connell's office.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabby Danwell. I'm from the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. As you've heard a few times today, you may have seen the announcement yourself. The Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced today that the President intends to end the DACA program within the next 6 months. We have over 30,000 DACA recipients in New York City, many of them lawyers, teachers, nurses, and our own neighbors, and this administration fully intends to support and protect these New Yorkers, and many people who are left today with fears about their own legal status in this city, and anyone who has those fears, please encourage them to call 311 and will be connected with our Office of Immigrant Affairs, which can offer various legal services. Last Wednesday, the mayor signed the Stand for Tenant Safety legislative package into law, which are 18 bills that expand protections for tenants throughout the city, including legislation, 67, including legislation that increases the minimum fines and penalties for landlords who construct without a permit, and expands the definition of harassment to include contact from the landlord at unusual hours, and allows housing court judges to award tenants damages in specific cases. And lastly, I want to say that we have announced recently that City Hall in the borough will be coming to Manhattan, even though City Hall is already here. We did Staten Island, the Bronx, and Queens, and now the administration moving uptown to an office building in Harlem the week of September 25th. And the mayor and our borough president, Del Brewer, will be traveling around the borough, making all kinds of announcements and holding various meetings. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much. Next is Yanni Tritas from Assemblyman McDonald's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We just had a few updates. We have sent people out into the community as a community fitness team, doing almost like satellite offices to reach other parts of the district. So we had a community survey this summer. We had 5 questions in the community survey, and it was an effort to reach parts of the community that are further away from our office. In terms of events coming up, we have a free cooking class with our side campaign against hunger for 14 to 21-year-olds. The details are it's going to be at 263 West 86th Street, between Broadway and Western Avenue, from 4 to 6 p.m. on September 18th. If you want to be by contacting our office at 212-866-3970. Legislatively, the summer of how I actually was pretty much helped for me, and which is why I'm proud to say that Assemblyman O'Donnell introduced a plan with Senator Michael Gianaris to create a dedicated revenue stream for the MTA. This is the plan that the mayor eventually came forward supporting and decided is the best way to move forward. That's it for me.
Thank you so much. Next is Neil Riley of Senator Benjamin's office.
Hi everyone, I'm Neil from Senator Benjamin's office. I'm the community liaison. Brian's away, anyone can send me all your wishes. He spent the summer doing a lot of organizing in his district, meeting with a lot of tenant leaders, including some of those at Park West Village. Sent a letter to the mayor about that. He also started a senior steering committee to make sure that seniors are being connected with resources they need. And he's going to be growing that across the district. I hope you'll grab one of our flyers on your way out, which has my contact info. I'd love to hear from you, so send me an email or give me a call.
Now I'm going to move into our business session, and we start with transportation.
We met earlier tonight, and we have 2 resolutions to present to you. But we have a public speaker on the first one, so Drew. The first resolution is the movement of the city bike stand across West End Avenue.
Hi, I'm Fred Bennett. I represent and working with that gang over there from 585 West End Avenue, which is a large building in the corner of West End and 88th Street. And we've been working with the Transportation Committee since February. Is that right, Chris? Yeah, since February to try and get the bike racks moved from across the street from the front of our building to across West End Avenue, same side. So a move of about. So, and we have great reasons for doing it, and we've made those arguments, a million times, and they are certainly not frivolous, because you're not going to get, I can't tell you how many meetings this number and more have been to the community board and the transportation committee because of the terrible conditions that having a bike rack across the street from the front of a large building on a side street does. It just creates mayhem.
And I'm sure that you'll hear more about it from, the transportation committee, so I'm trying not to get into the technicalities, but suffice it to say, it is truly caused mayhem at our building. And as I said earlier, I'm probably the baby group in terms of, I've lived there 25 years. I've never come to community board meeting because of something we needed and not let it any of that. So this is, we don't do this frivolously, and we are not doing it because we don't like having a bike rack near us. We are all fully in support of biking in the city. It's just that because the bike rack is wider than a parked car, and that I will stake my life and reputation on that truth. Because it's wider, we're constantly having blockage at the end of the street. The street starts at Riverside and ends at West End. So trucks and other large commercial vehicles which go down our street, because we're the first, we're actually the second, but for some reason, but everybody commercial comes and takes 88th Street East. So we have a very large amount of commercial traffic coming down 88th Street, and then they're completely blocked by the overly wide bike racks. So we've asked that the bike racks be moved across West End Avenue so that anybody turning on to 88th Street would at least be able to see that there were bike racks there, and if there was any blockage, then they could avoid the street. But by putting it at the bottom of the street where it is now, guys who have turned their large trucks from Riverside onto 88th Street, it's way too late by the time we get to the end of the block to go, oh my God, I'm going to be blocked here because there's an ambulance in front of the building for God knows how long. So our argument, we think, is quite brilliant, is never put a bike rack at which we would call the bottom of the street, because then it's too late to make a decision to turn down the street. And we want the bike rack to start at the top of the street. Anyway, so basically we are urging that, and also I just want to point out, there is no one in opposition to this. And being told by people, oh, a guy said, well, I don't know where that guy is. And I don't know where that guy has been in any of the meetings we've already had. So there is no God. And so nobody's opposing, and as a matter of fact, somebody went and talked to the synagogue, and they were like, hey, follow me. So nobody's opposing it, a ton of people are for it, nobody's getting hurt, and so why not? Yeah. Why not help a constituency that's here in minutes? Thanks. A movable pipe.
Okay, so the committee met this evening, the 6 of us that were here, and we actually had a draw on this resolution. We actually, at a previous meeting, had approved this pending correspondence with Congregation B'nai Jeshurun, which we subsequently have had, but tonight the committee, was tied 3-3. So we'll open it up to discussion. Are there
there that we're going to be called upon to do it? I mean, this has been vetted by DOT, it's been vetted by city price. There's no safety concerns. I might give you the ballot.
Actually, to put this in a little bit of context, we have a resolution that the folks at City Bike should alert CB7 or any community board when they're going to site a bike rack and or move a bike rack. And they have not always lived by that. This is a bike rack that was moved from 87th Street because of construction on the Riverside to West End block of 87th Street. And you would have thought that City Bike would have come and said, here's where we're considering, what do you guys think about it? And they did not do that, they just plopped it down there.
If I'm not mistaken though, isn't that the responsibility of the DOT? City Bike can't just say, we're going to put a bike station here.
we have a relationship with City Bike, and they've promised to do that, and in this case, they did not do that. And as far as the slippery slope goes, and I'll let Howard sound off on this as well, but we haven't had very many, please move this away from us at all, situations with City Bike. We've had, why isn't it on the sidewalk, or I'm losing some parking, or that sort of thing, but the specific things that this building is referring to, which are ambulances can't get to the front, or they can't get down the street, or contractors' vehicles or trucks all of a sudden come upon the City Bike stand because it isn't visible from Riverside Drive when you turn down 88th Street. Things of that nature we have not had.
Sorry, the slippery slope concern hasn't existed in the past, but there's a process for citing the stations, and this is a careful process. It has community involvement, and there's also a process for moving the station, which is a little more lax, so I'll concede that. But there is a concern among some of the committee members that hearing each concern with each City Bike station would open up the floodgates. So that definitely, I'm not saying it would, I'm saying that is a concern that some of the committee members have. So the answer to the question is one word, yes.
Having been on Transportation Committee when City Bikes first came to us, DOT is not infallible. And there was one instance that I remember distinctly where they wanted to move a group of City Bikes, and they did, on 81st Street between Columbus Avenue and Amsterdam Avenue, closer to Columbus Avenue and 81st Street, near the Endicott. And it was a really bad idea because we had buses there. And because they were going to go, and there was a highly traffic area. But they had decided, they decided, well, it's a much larger and wider street, 81st Street, so that was a good idea. We got them to move the City Bikes to 82nd Street, which was a much, less traversed area on 82nd Street and Central Park West, between Central Park West and Columbus Avenue, and it worked out really well. And that was because the community alerted us to it, because sometimes it's a bad idea. And again, DOT has been fantastic about this, but they are not infallible, and there are times they make mistakes. And that's when we hear from the community, and we do have the right to work with them.
Since we have no diagrams and have no idea what's across the screen or anything else, I wonder if we can hear from one of the people who are against this to be made, apart from the slippery slope argument, which I understand, are there substantive reasons not to move it?
Yeah, thanks, Richard. I was one of the ones who voted against it. I voted against it because I haven't heard a persuasive case for moving it. A docking station is sometimes wider than a row of parked cars, and sometimes not. It depends on what kind of car it is and how far away from the curb the car is parked. I have a picture on my phone that was taken Sunday night, right next to that docking station of an SUV parked right next to the station, and it is as wide as the station is. And if you count it here, it's even wider. So I don't know what this is about mayhem. When there was not a docking station there were rows of parked cars, and it depended on how wide the cars were and how far away from the curb they were parked. They have a concern about deliveries to the building, people going in and out of the building, and double parking. And then they claim that cars can't get by, and that's a problem that we have on a lot of side streets. We offered the solution of putting in a 2-car loading zone during the days, which would solve their problem. And they rejected that for the reason that it would take away parking spaces, which that's what I understood the reason behind.
The citing process is fallible. We had an experience at Park West Village where the bike racks were put on the sidewalk. The sidewalk had grates. It was very dangerous. We raised the issue.
and the racks were placed across the street on the Central Park West side, and everything has worked out correctly. And when we investigated, it was clear that the proper authorities and the proper neighbors and the proper residents have not been informed. So it is a very valuable process.
Just a quick question. What's on the east side of the street? Like where the new city like docks would go? What's at the synagogue? The synagogue, okay, and they're okay with it?
It's not actually, it's not on the north side.
South side, okay, so there's nothing just residential buildings, residential buildings. And the entrance building is not on the side street.
I just had a quick question and unrelated comment. The question is, do we know the process? So what is the process for choosing these, and was it all followed? Just a quick unrelated topic for future. I never saw the thing in the post yesterday, but that's a huge issue. So no, there's no lights up. If we're going to be putting things in and talking about this thing, I don't know how we can advocate to get lights up there, but when I look around, I see one light. So I think it's something we should take up and try to advocate that we're going to be taking up parking spots and having meetings like this. We should at least have lights on these lights. But I'm just curious if there's a process, that official process, and if it's followed in this particular case.
Steve, I don't know if you heard earlier, but we actually now have on record a resolution asking the city bank to reach out to community boards.
Well, I think making you aware
or move them. This one was moved without any acknowledgement from city bank. It was just blocked down there. Normally, they would have said, here's what we're thinking of. We have to move it. This construction on Main Street. Where do you suppose out of these 2 or 3 locations would be the best? And they would get the committee.
I guess what is the criteria for choosing where a city bank goes?
That's a good question.
Well, what happens is, in the past, the city bike has come to, with DOT, to Transportation Committee, and Transportation Committee has done a terrific job of doing a walking zone. And then after they've looked at scouted all the locations, they then call DOT and say, we have a few problems, and they list the problems that they have, and then DOT and Transportation Committee members go back to the locations that are problematic and explain to DOT why they're problematic. The 81st Street that Linda just alluded to, the DOT realized that it was a real problem. We then walked around the whole neighborhood and they selected we selected 2 sites that we thought would be good, and they picked one of them. Some of the times when transportation walks with DOT, they say too bad, that's, we don't care, that's what it's going. So, but they are willing at least to come out and walk and look at the sites.
I'm just curious what the criteria is.
We have no idea.
Maybe something we may want to inquire about. You know, I'd just be curious what the criteria is for choosing them. I understand what we've been doing when we think there's
Andrew, you mentioned that you were waiting to hear from the synagogue, but you didn't say what they said.
I told you the south side would be more like not the synagogue.
I just had actually a question, not about the resolution of this, whether you move it or not, but it was at 87th Street. That construction is going to end. At that point, can we go back?
Yeah.
All right, so we have a temporary problem, but not, but in the end, it is going to go away.
Yes.
I think we ought to call the question of power.
Thanks. You're getting your exercise. I just wanted to correct any misconception. We fully recognize the process can fail. Any process can fail. Deciding the city bike process is a carefully thought out, vetted process, but it can fail. The question is whether it failed in this case. That's the question we're facing. And in our opinion, there may be issues there, but there are probably going to be issues in the new location, which is opposite a busy synagogue. So the question again is whether it failed in this case, and how. It's across the street. Can I just make it clear? Let's one at a time. Can I just finish? The point is, it's near something. This is not a rural area. It is near something. It is near a synagogue, or it is near some other buildings. That's the only point I'm making. I just want to finish this. And so the question is whether the process failed, and it was the careful and considered judgment of half of the committee that it didn't fail, that this wasn't much of a problem, and that we shouldn't be moving it, it's playing whack-a-mole essentially, moving it from one space to another space. That's all.
Roberta? Roberta?
I just want to say we've put a lot of time into this one bike rack. I think it might have been 4 meetings that we discussed it at. I ultimately voted against it because I feel that the issues that the neighbors raised will not be cured by moving it. They say that there's a lot of traffic on 88th Street. A lot of the pictures that they showed either had a truck parked before the bike rack. It showed vans parked actually on top of the bike rack, which they would not be able to do if there's a row of cars. They showed an ambulance on West End Avenue that could not have possibly thought of going down 88th Street, realized that there's a bike lane there, and gone around to West End. And I mean, for me, the issue is that if there is that much congestion on 88th Street, which I believe is a real issue, what we need to do is remove parking spots in front of their building to create a loading zone. And when I suggested that, they were fiercely opposed to that idea. And I think that really is the answer. And without doing that, we're not going to solve any problems.
Let me just say that one big difference between having a row of parked cars and the city bike stand is that with a row of parked cars, you have alternate side parking with the city bike stand.
But that impacts 3 hours a day.
That's just one last comment.
How many residents are here? So I think it's important to listen to the residents. So from my perspective, according to the residents, it did fail in this case. And I think it's really important to listen to their perspectives and respond to them.
Well, we don't get the residents where it's going to be moved.
We will at the next meeting.
We're ready to vote on this. Okay, all those in favor of moving, obviously until it goes back to 87th Street, moving the city bike stand from the west side of 88th Street and West End to the east side on the southern alignment, just east of West End, can we see your hands?
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 24. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. Abstaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not eligible to vote. So the vote passes 24, 10, 5, 0.
Okay, the second, thank you folks for coming out several times. We now have a resolution that is responding to the continual lessening in frequency of bus service, in this case the M66 and the M72. As you heard from Assembly Member Rosenthal earlier, this is a never-ending spiral of decline. every time they cut service, there's fewer riders, and then when they try the bus again, there's fewer riders, and it just keeps going down. Whereas we have found that when they improve the service, such as on the M79 and 86 SBS, ridership improves. So I know that Board A has brought this and has included the let's see, M31 in addition, but that doesn't actually enter our district, so we're just sticking to the M66 and M72. Any questions on this resolution? These are what's called seasonal bus adjustments. Claudia.
The M72 has a peculiar, an unusual route. The M66 goes straight across town. Has there been an issue about making that a select bus line? With that, what is the issue, and would that address concerns in a more likely way to succeed?
As those streets are not wide streets like 79th and 86, it would be a little tougher to do a select bus there, and you have to put these sidewalk machines in. I'm not sure there's room all along that route to do that. But we can certainly ask that question, because I think the ridership on the M66 is higher than on the M72. It's Lincoln Center, all the hospitals on the east side, it's a well used route. And as you know, above 63rd Street, there is some cross town suburb, and elderly and people with disabilities must use the bus service. Any other questions? All right, let's call the question. All in favor?
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Anybody against? Abstaining? Not eligible to vote? The vote passes 39-0-0-0.
Next up is preservation.
And I hope you guys will share with me. Some of these things we saw back in July, and so I don't remember them very well. And also the light, can you dim the lights a little bit? Because I don't think it's very easy to read these.
I don't know.
Is there a way to lower the light level a little bit? Because otherwise it's very hard to see. This first application, 18 West 74th Street, is a very simple application. There are 19, originally 19 units in this row house group, and there's been a lot of changes to the rear facades. Is there a way to enlarge what the rear facades look like here? Yes. Well, let's see. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see it very well. So they're proposing to change one window on the rear facade, and the rear facade was made up of a bunch of very irregular changed elevations, and it seemed reasonably appropriate. I wish I could give you a better picture. But, go over, you can slide that way. Yeah. Okay, so if the window in question is, can you go to this, lower, I'm sorry, lower, no, the other way. Can you do that? Yeah. The window in question is that window that you see, there we go, it's inside, and they want to lower the sill and make it into a pair of French doors with a, so now go down, a little more. To that, and we thought it was reasonably appropriate. We voted to approve it. Any questions?
It looked like it was on the second floor and just opened to it.
Yes, the second floor. So those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 37.
Got it.
Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? Not eligible to vote. So the vote passes 37-0-0-0.
No, it's on the 5th floor. It looked like it was a window with nothing under it.
They're adding a rail.
Okay.
They're making like a Julia Fountain.
Okay.
Yeah, I promise you, we're doing it. Okay, the next application is 124 West 88th Street. This is an interesting building because this building is part of a road. You have to go to the next one, too. Okay, here we go. I'm a little bit slow. This is a building. You can't see it.
Yeah, it gets close with the lighting.
It's the building that looks modern in the block. It's the fourth one from the right. And the interesting thing about, this building in 1962, the stoop was removed, the facade was totally redone. And so it was originally part of a much larger grouping, but it has been in this condition. There we go, off to the right. The one that has the 3 little windows at the top since 1962. Can we go to the next slide? The proposal is to take the type of brickwork that this building has is Roman brick, but instead of being an offset running bond, is a stacked bond. So it's a much more contemporary look to the building. But the proposal is to improve, within the context of this more contemporary vocabulary, improve the proportions of fenestration, and at the bottom, the doorway doesn't line up, the doorway down here doesn't line up with it, so can you do the next one and see if that's the old, yeah, there we go. So this is the existing building. And the proposal here is to move the doorway, move the doorway so it aligns with the edge, because right now it's off to the side, and to change the window at the grade level, and then to replace within the existing openings the window divisions, to make them a little bit meatier with the same kind of teak wood, so you see something that's a little bit more pronounced, that gives a stronger kind of balance to these big pieces of glass. And with the exception of one detail, they had very thin pane of a piece of wood that we asked them to beef up. But we found that with what they were proposing, that it seemed reasonably appropriate within the context of the vocabulary. Yes. Here's real design too. Sorry. Keep going. To the front. So the rear, they're proposing to do a bit more kind of then changing the fenestrations in similar mode. This is the existing condition. Can we go to the next one? Still the rear. Okay. So. Okay. So this is the proposal, is to kind of regularize and make it a little bit more consistent with what's in the front. They're adding a staircase, which we have said they should check with code, but that wasn't our jurisdiction. And they're doing a little bit of excavation work here. They're not enlarging the window. And so that's the extent of the window.
Other question?
Yeah,
call the question.
Sorry.
When the committee met, I was in favor of the changes to the front of the building, since it's quite different from all the other buildings on 88th Street. But I objected to the stair being proposed in the rear, which protrudes quite a bit into the rear yard. I don't even know if it's 100% legal, but you can see that exterior stair, which is new and goes down to the rear yard, and would be very different from all the other buildings in that part of the backyard area. So I object to this particular change.
This is the obvious question to ask, because again, it's not visible from the street. Does landmarks normally approve these kinds? They do.
Yeah, I mean, the staircase actually, Peter raised a question about holy gallery code. In fact, what's sitting next to it is pretty much from what I remember, a piece of concrete wall, so it wasn't really any way the stair was going to be somewhere by tucking it to the side. Many of the community felt that it was preserving a larger area, but people had concerns about it.
So I thought they were taking a closer or a better look at the donut rather than the, apparently they're not.
Well, what's interesting is, I mean, in terms of what that's doing to the donut, that's a lot less than doing a rear yard
Addition, yeah, that's true.
So they do look at those stairs, they look at the piece of equipment on and
Okay, Andrew, can I ask the committee chairs, why did you write this sentence and what does it mean? The committee urges the applicant to take into consideration the committee's expressed concerns and recommendations in subsequent discussions with LPC. What does take into consideration? 1. 2, was the applicant there and did you have a dialogue with the applicant? Because why would the applicant take anything into consideration if the applicant wasn't there? And at least as I read this rather lengthy resolution, 3/4 of which is describing the process rather than the factors that the committee wishes to take into consideration. I have no idea what this sentence is about and why put it in unless you're very specific.
well, I actually think we did have specific recommendations to consider alternate locations of the area.
Intake bed, for example, expressed concern about whether or not this location is fully code compliant. It's got the recommendation that a certain line be thickened up, so that was intended as a summary. We often, when we approve something, but we have concerns, but they're not concerns strong enough to keep us from, to lead to disapproval, we will add that in. The applicant was there, or the architect was there. Does anybody remember if the applicant was there too? Honestly, I'm gonna admit, it was July, it's now September, I don't remember.
Okay, it's okay. All I want to say is that if the committee is going to the trouble of saying there are concerns, I'm not interested in wording this, but I would like clarity. And if the committee has things to contribute, I'd like to see it rather than just say, we'd like these things to be taken into consideration. It would strengthen the resolution if you have things to say that were an outgrowth of the discussion. I won't take more time.
Thank you. Yeah, well, Richard, I'm sorry.
That's all right,
It's just said that. Okay, well, anybody else?
All the question?
So we're voting to approve this?
Okay, those in favor of approving? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 34. Against? 1. Abstaining? 2. Abstaining for cause. So the vote passes 34-120.
Okay, so now we're moving into August. 321 West 103. Okay, so this is a proposal to do some renovation and restoration work on the lower 2 floors of brownstone on one of those. And this is the can you go back a minute? Okay, so this is the existing front door, and this is the proposal is to change the front door to reconfigure slightly the areaway that you walk into, up down to. Change the railing from a metal railing into something that is more consistent with the brownstone, and do some restoration work around the front door. There's white brick right now, and they're proposing to add a wood trim and details, a wooden glass door, return to some of the rusticated brickwork, brownstone work that is in the rest of the side. Can you go to the next? So this is the existing, and this is a mock-up of the proposed, to give you a sense that there's some, like, they're going to restore the facade. Next, please. That's it. That's extended. It was a fairly simple facade. We found it an improvement in bringing it back to more, without being able to restore the street, which they were not proposing to do. We felt it was reasonably appropriate. Any questions?
On the existing, it looks like it's curved on the corner of the building.
There's a big window, I think, that is just not.
That they're removing from the.
No, it's just the way it's rendered. It's sort of been flat. They haven't changed anything in the.
I just want to put on the record that I'm a close personal friend of the applicants, but other than that, I have no interest in the project, so nothing that disqualifies me from voting.
Same thing. I live next door to the building, and so I have a personal interest, but nothing that disqualifies.
Okay, all those voting to approve? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 37. Against? None? Abstaining? None? Not eligible to vote? So the vote passes 37-0-0-0.
And we have one more. Can we do the last one? We're
Yes,
supposed to
number
have
9.
more, but
Yeah.
for some reason it got lost. 72 West 69th Street, which is that extra sheet, which is resolution 9.
Yes. Give me a moment.
Oh, you should add it under 8.
Yes, this will be number 9 on the list.
So I'm sorry again that it seems virtually impossible to see here, but this is on 69th Street, and it is an application to create an accessible entrance to a physical cultural establishment, in other words, a gym or a health club, that is located several feet above the street level. If you know
It's probably
where
9.
Telecom is, used to be, this is a little bit to the east of it, and it is, oh, is it the former Telecom? Okay.
One part of it, remember, there was the
I thought that, yeah,
one
one
side
part
was existing,
stayed.
and then Telepan is giving up
A piece of
the
it,
part that
that's
comes
it.
out to the street, and so, yeah.
So, okay, there we go. So this is where the telephone is, and this is the point of access that they're proposing to put a sidewalk or a landing 2 feet above street level with both a stairs and then a glass enclosed chair lift, a wheelchair lift. And can we go to the next one? Can anybody see this? Because I can't see a thing.
No.
But it's, our committee had concerns that it was not a particularly attractive solution and that we wished it could be elsewhere, but there is basically no other place to put this. And this is the least intrusive kind of solution. The enclosure around the lift is glass, so it's less solid than if it were railings and such. And so we find it minimally appropriate because they said they had explored other options too, and that there weren't any that would be compliant. And with that, we voted to approve as minimally appropriate.
For the question? All those in favor?
So you're writing in number 9, below 8.
1,
That's
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 33. Against? 1. Abstaining? None? Are not eligible to vote? Abstaining for not eligible to vote? 1. So the vote passes 33-101.
I'm sorry, the images were not easier to decipher. Thank you so much. No one will see your resolutions. No. Okay.
Thank you so much. And now we move on to business and consumer interests.
Hi, so we're on number 6 now. There are 5 SLA applications. We voted to approve them all, but I just wanted to tell you, each of them is a little unique, so I'm going to quickly run through them. 155 West 62nd Street, that was the Big Apple Circus. I read through the P&E minutes. I didn't, we voted on this application, we voted to approve, then I read the P&E minutes. These were 2 different issues. 21 West End Avenue is for a cafe inside the building, so unless you live in the building, you're not invited to the cafe. 200 West 84th Street, West Side Rat Packing, taking up a restaurant used to be on 84th, it's upstairs. The Burke and Willis owners are opening up a new place in that location, 200 West 84. 506 Amsterdam at West 84th Street is Koreshi Inc. That restaurant's open now. It's a kosher restaurant. They don't have a liquor license, but we voted to approve their application. And 2350 Broadway at West 85th Street, that's the site of the former Prime Co. So we voted to approve that application also. Anybody have any questions? Yes. Yes.
So, no, it's not, okay, comment. Anybody have a comment?
All the question?
So I just wanted to comment on the first one, which is the Big Apple Circus in Amherst Park. As Michelle correctly points out, or essentially points out, this is a very specific issue for the BCI committee, which is a liquor license for the Big Apple Circus, for a new Big Apple Circus. It's not the one that everybody knew for so many decades. That will be performing in Amherst Park and Lincoln Center apparently for the next 10 years. So I don't oppose per se the liquor license on the assumption that the Big Apple Circus this new Big Apple Circus will be performing in Amherst Park and will offer a variety of refreshments and other expensive things you can buy while attending the circus. But I hope that if you haven't already, committee board members will read the minutes, which Ken did a heroic job of our last committee meeting. We actually postponed our July meeting until a day in early August when we could have representatives of the Big Apple Circus and Lincoln Center at our meeting because we regarded them as such an important set of issues. The old Big Apple Circus, I won't be long on this, but the old Big Apple Circus, which was a beloved community institution and not-for-profit, eventually went into bankruptcy and was filed in 2016. For many neighbors of Amherst Park is a city park. It's on the Lincoln Center campus, but it's 2.5 acres that is a park. It's a park, and it's a neighborhood park for many people who live around it, and they enjoy being in a park as all of us enjoy being in our neighborhood parks. So for many, many years, although the old Big Apple Circus was a beloved institution, nevertheless, it completely took over Amherst Park from sometime in early October through
the end of January, with a great deal of noise and smells and garbage and loss of that park for its neighbors. Many of the neighbors were rather relieved when the old Big Apple Circus went into bankruptcy and rather hoped that they'd get their park back throughout the entire winter. But Lincoln Center, which has an agreement with New York City, with the Parks Department, to maintain all of the space on the Lincoln Center campus, which includes public areas such as the garage and includes Dammers Park, had a process whereby they entered into a new 10-year contract going out for 10 years with a new for-profit circus that named itself the Big Apple Circus. It is not at all clear to us what the review process was for this new for-profit entity that will take up the entirety of Dammers Park for 4 months every year for the next 10 years with the Department of Parks and Recreation. It was a very not transparent process. We're not sure whether the Parks Department knew that this was a for-profit circus. The amount of revenue that the Lincoln Center gets from Lincoln Center, the parent organization, the umbrella organization that there are something like 11 constituent performing organizations, well, including the library, but the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, Inc. is the umbrella organization. So that's the organization that has the new contract with this for-profit circus. We don't know how much revenue they're getting. We don't know how much the for-profit circus is paying to Lincoln Center. There's a lot of public policy and transparency issues concerning this new contract. So that has been the subject of a great deal of thought and discussion at the Parks and Environment Committee, of which I'm the chair. I urge you to read our minutes. We're not quite finished in how we're going to address those topics, but it's an important piece of background for you to understand when you're voting with regard to whether to approve a liquor license for this new for-profit service.
There is an application process for the liquor license, which is transparent. And the circus assured us they're serving alcohol in the tents. People are not allowed outside the tents. It's sometimes important consideration when we think about anything about that.
Yeah, and just also for further information, when we spoke to the principals, we wanted to make sure that there was a community benefit from this, since they were a for-profit. So we pressed them on providing free tickets and other incentives for the community by the fact that they were now the new owners.
Just quickly, I don't know if this is relevant to the liquor license, but in response to Clary's concerns, and obviously there's going to be further discussion going forward about this, least generally, and again, full disclosure, for years I represented the old Big Apple Circus. Two of the programs that they put on, one was called Circus of the Senses, which was several free performances for kids who are sight and hearing impaired, which I can tell you, because I attended them, was an unbelievable experience. The second program was Clown Care, and there were 7 different hospitals at the time where the circus, the employed clowns for the circus would go into hospitals for a certain amount of time each week to entertain the kids who were in the pediatric wards. So I wanted to go on record and urge you, if you ever get any leverage in this entire process, to see if you can possibly get this new entity to reinstate those programs.
They are reinstating the program on the census. They are having, when they they are having several, I guess, matinees where they will be inviting children who are,
The contract that the circus has with Lincoln Center Inc. requires them to have one performance a week for kids with tickets no more than $10 at $10 a ticket. They did make some general promises or representations to us that at least in the first year they were going to have a version of the Circus of the Senses and something else like that. But it's very loosey-goosey at this point. It is not a promise going beyond year one, but we're on the case.
they've also agreed to provide the Lincoln Square Neighborhood Association free tickets for the children and seniors at abstinence houses. And that I know because I put the two of them together.
Yeah, be that as it may, we have 5 liquor SLA applications for which we voted to approve, and I'm calling the question. All those in favor?
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, they're all bundled together. They're all number 6.
1, 2, 3.
If you want to make a separate vote on one, just tell me. I'm sorry, Mark.
35 in favor. Against? Against, abstaining?
Anybody who wants to change their vote for the Big Apple Circus, just see me after the meeting. I'll record all your votes that way, okay? I got to set the line all ready for it. So I'm sorry, what's the vote?
Okay. Do you understood that? If you only have a difference on the vote for the Big Apple Circus, come to Mark afterwards and let him know. In favor, okay, so that would be 36. Clary, would you be in favor on the other? Okay, that would be 37. So the vote was 37,000 in favor.
Number 7 is 268 Amsterdam Avenue, Guacamole Taqueria. This comes to the full board for a couple of reasons. The applicant, through his attorney, came to our July 12th BCI committee meeting and agreed at that time to withdraw the application after some of the disorganized presentation. But then we were informed by John Martinez that the applicant will not withdraw the application. It would be submitted to the SLA as soon as possible. The attorney for the applicant on July 12th agreed to some stipulations and mindful of our advisory position to the SLA and with respect to our community and the neighbors around the restaurant, we asked to meet with the owner at his restaurant and make sure those conditions were met. The other unique thing about this application is that there's a backyard. Some of those conditions involve soundproofing. When I went to look at the venue, I saw that the ceiling was nice and painted, but it didn't appear to me that there was any soundproofing put in, which the attorney advocated for. So we've set a date to meet with among several committee members, George, Jerry, myself, my daughter, some of the residents of the building, and the owner, Mr. Victor Perez. We met at his restaurant. Who's here? Yes. Where is he? Yes, there he is. We met at his restaurant to discuss these conditions. And we wanted the method of operation that was originally agreed to by their attorney to be put in their application, and we wanted to start a conversation between the owner of the restaurant and some of the residents in the building. The restaurant at that time wasn't open for business. I think you just opened about a week ago, is that right? 2 weeks? How long? The restaurant's not open yet? Oh, Thursday, they're gonna open. So, I want to walk you through a couple of things that we did. Mindful that there's a backyard, mindful that the Department of Consumer Affairs doesn't control what happens in the backyard. It's essentially private property. The applicant agreed, and this is how our resolution reads. Our resolution is to disapprove unless the following conditions are incorporated into the method of operations. The hours of operation, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, till 2 a.m., Friday, Saturday, till 4 a.m. The SLA application will not include the backyard space. We all looked at the copy of the SLA application, that's in fact true. The HVA system is cleaned out, that was done. They will consider using soundproofing umbrellas to muffle sound from the patrons in the backyard. Now, mind you, they agreed not, their SLA application does not include the backyard, but they will have food service there. There will be some noise, and the tenants upstairs and back, the building back of the restaurant, the backyard, might have some issues with noise, so they agreed, the owner agreed to look at some soundproofing umbrellas to muffle the sound. And that the owner agreed to soundproof the ceiling inside the restaurant in a manner. This was how they did it. We saw videos earlier when Mr. Perez came. We met, our committee met to discuss this application this evening. We came up with a, what do you call that? Sense of the committee vote. But Mr. Perez showed us a video where foam was being put through punch outs in the ceiling. So there's foam now between his ceiling and whatever the next level of floor. That's right. And at that time, we heard today that the tenant who lives upstairs was in the restaurant when this soundproofing was being put into the ceiling. And they agreed to have communication between the owner / manager and the residents of the restaurant. That apparently happened a couple of times already, including on August 4th when we went to Taqueria, Guacamole Taqueria, to look at the place. So with that, our sense of the committee vote was 6-0-0-0. We're asking you to approve, well, to disapprove unless those following conditions were incorporated into the method of operations. We have the owner here, if you have any questions or a question for him. I wish it was, but we were told that's how the SLA wants it to be. Disapprove unless. But what, unless, correct. Anybody up?
It's weird, I know, but that's how they want to do it.
Michelle, you said the application, the SLA application does not apply to the backyard. Is that correct?
I hope I can deceive. The SLA, that's right, their application does not include the backyard space to be used to serve alcohol. Yeah.
So is that the conclusion we can come to? That
Yes.
there will be no alcohol served in the backyard?
They do not have a license to serve alcohol in the backyard.
And you are comfortable that that can be appropriately monitored?
Well, it's on the application. I saw that as the monitor. I can't speak to that. I know in the future they may come to us for a modification of their license to include the backyard. That's what I'm saying.
Just one added comment, that if any time the community makes complaints regarding noise, that's something that the SLA takes up and seriously considers, and would be grounds for not renewal of their SLA application.
Rihanna to be here today.
I have one right here, so. Yeah, please. So, am I not correct that when the restrictions such as the backyard restriction that you're talking about is on the method of operation, that when the police respond to a complaint, that they can enforce that because it's on the license on the MOU? Whereas if it were not part of the MOU, then they would have to throw up their hands. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Now the method of operation is displayed.
Well, that's the other thing, there's a new regulation from the new regulation that requires them not just to have their license, but to have the method of operations available for the police when they come and respond to a complaint. So I think that's an answer to Blanche's question, that while we're always at the whim and caprice of enforcement in all of our work, that there is some teeth to what you're doing if they agree to do what you're calling upon them to do, which is to put it into the method of operations and thereby make it as enforceable as we can.
And not only having the documents available, but have it in display so that any customer coming in can see what they are allowed or not allowed to do in that establishment.
Anybody have a question for the current? Okay. Oh, we have to translate. We have to translate. I'm trying to call the question. All those in favor?
Okay, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. That's 36. Against? 1. Abstaining? None? None eligible to vote? None? The vote passes 36-100.
Thank you. The last application is for a sidewalk cafe for pickles, Maison Pickles on Broadway. This application originally came to us for 10 tables and 20 seats on the street on 84th Street. But there was significant neighborhood opposition to this, and it's all in our minutes. And so they also made an application for a cafe on Broadway for 3 tables and 15 seats. And withdrew the request for the cafe on 84th Street. So we approved the little cafe on Broadway with the provision that it's not go further than the 5 napkin burger cafe, which gives them a little more space than 5 napkin burgers, a little more space than 9 feet because of how the wall is set. I have to learn those landmark preservation walls in front of the building. And they're as happy as they can be right now. You know that restaurant, Maison Pickles, goes from Broadway.
That's all that happened this year, and Maison Pickles is like an L around.
But there was significant opposition by the community. And Maison Pickles has another restaurant, you know, in Columbus, on Amsterdam, and they're good neighbors. They really are good neighbors. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, 2 questions. One is that I had heard some of the community concern. Were the people at the meeting happy with the alternative that was proposed? Yes. And second question is that the area in front on Broadway, I assume that there's enough room for the proposed tables between the Wild Cornell. Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to go further than Linda. What? Okay, so I'm asking you to approve the unclosed cafe for Maison Pickles on Broadway, 3 tables, 15.
Okay, all those in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where they had to. Anybody against? Anybody against? Abstaining? Not eligible to vote. The vote passes 37-000.
I want to thank everybody. I will, look for a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor of adjourning? Thank you all so much. We'll see you in,